Hello and welcome back to the Baseball Show, the fastest growing fantasy baseball show on YouTube. I kid you not. We want to thank everybody for subscribing, watching, tuning in, leaving your comments, liking the videos. Please continue to do so. Share with your friends, share with your loved ones, your family. Valentine's Day is the season, so we're going to get into three pitchers today, as we normally do. We do three hitters, three pitchers, three prospects. I'm Andy Singleton. I'm here with Ralph Lifshitz. So let's just dive right into things with Aaron Sanchez, Rich Hill, and Chris Tillman this week. Real quick, as a preface to these, we are starting to file through players that have been suggested to us. So continue to send your names and your requests in for players that you want to hear spoken about, and they'll pop up on the list just as these three names are today. If you're unfamiliar with our player library, you can go to the playlist on this channel, Nickel Press TV, and you can scroll through each player we've covered and just find them on their own. You don't have to listen to you don't have to filter through a whole episode. You can just get the information on that one player. Short little bite-sized episodes in the 4 to 6 minute range, and hopefully you appreciate that convenience factor. So that will give you reason to subscribe if you haven't yet already. All right, I'm going to quit blabbering. Aaron Sanchez. All right, so in his first full year as a starter at the major league level, Sanchez turned in what can only be described as a dominant season. So how exactly did he go from good to great? He stopped trying to overpower everyone. He dialed down his fastball notch. He started using it a little less. And his control has been way better, cutting off nearly 1.5 walks per nine. He went from a 4.29 to a 2.95 walks per nine. Now, he doesn't generate necessarily a ton of swing and miss. He's not a huge K number guy. He's never been a huge K guy for that matter. But you're going to have a guy that's going to annually challenge for a sub-3 ERA. And as such, he'll be in every game, which means he's going to add up wins as well. So, Ralph, you being the numbers guy, dive into a little bit. What are the things with Aaron Sanchez? He's nearly at the 200 inning mark. So again, if he's going to be a sub-3 guy, he doesn't have to be a high volume K strikeout guy to add to that total. Am I correct in that?
Yeah, I think absolutely. And the big thing with Sanchez, and I talk about it almost on a weekly basis, is, the baseline for a lot of his stats, especially in a very tough park, in a very tough division full of tough parks, is he gets a lot of ground balls. He doesn't put the ball in the air all that frequently. 54% ground ball rate is what I saw. He did have an uptick a little bit in the swing and strike rate, but as you said, he's not a swing and miss guy. He's not someone who's going to have huge K numbers. Had an 8.2% swing and strike rate, which is about average, but it's respectable. Big thing with him is keeping the ball on the ground. He's got an excellent fastball, very good curveball. Problem that I see with Sanchez and some of the stuff that has me a little bit weary, I know his ADP right now is around 100. It was 99, I think, factoring in all the different sites that are drafting right now. But his third time through the order, his ERA goes up significantly. He's a guy that his first time through the order, he's got a 2.26 ERA. His third time through the order, he's amongst the worst in baseball in terms of the difference between his first time through the order and third time through the order. It's a 4.85. I don't know if it's the fact that he plays in such a tough division, or it could be the fact that he relies so heavily on those two pitches. If he's able to develop the change and throw it a little bit more, find how he's going to be able to work in that third pitch in terms of his sequencing, keep hitters a little bit more off balance. I think we could see even better numbers. We could see some better strikeout numbers as well. But if he's going to maintain the production that he had last season in that division, in that park, I really think he needs to find a third pitch.
You mentioned the ADP. I at least reference NFBC data, and right now he's the starting pitcher 23, 104th player overall, which puts him towards the tail end of the 8th round.
Yeah.
Again, I think you're going to have a guy that annually challenges for a sub-3 ERA, and as such, like I said, will be in every game. I don't think he can maintain that 882 winning percentage we saw in 2016. But if he does make 30 starts and he logs 6 1/3 inning on average in each of those starts, he's going to win his fair share. I think his 15-win total from 2016 is absolutely repeatable. I would expect that to be the baseline versus 2017, and he's still young enough to continue to improve on his numbers. So if he's going as a starting pitcher 23, I think that's actually a little low for where you could find his end of season value. And I think he could approach that top 20, making him somebody that is going to produce value based on where you're going to draft him at this point. Are you comfortable with him at 23, starting pitcher off the board?
I'm not sure I am. If he's been in the top 100 picks, I just think that there's better options. Once again, I don't dislike Aaron Sanchez. If we're talking about a dynasty league, he's somebody I would definitely target around that area and wouldn't have a problem grabbing him as maybe my second pitcher. But he's not an ace. And, top 100 picks, when it's going somewhere in there, he's probably your second pitcher off the board. And in redraft, I just think you can get better value. Don't think he's bad, but I just think there's better value to be had maybe a round or two after.
Well, that's interesting because as we transition now to our next pitcher in Rich Hill, I find things to be the complete opposite. He's not too far off from where Sanchez is going. He's currently the 29th pitcher off the board, 129th overall. It's nearly 2 full rounds later, towards the end of the 10th round. The thing with Hill is, if his numbers have really been so good since his resurgence at the tail end of 2015 with Boston. But I can't knock Zach Greinke in good conscience for getting old and then look at a pitcher even older than he is who can't stay healthy on top of it all and place a badge of confidence on him. Like I said, there's really nothing you can say bad about him over the last 2 years when he is healthy and on the mound. But, he's going to be 37 in March. And last year was only the second time in his career that he's put together 20 or more starts. He was basically a freshman in high school when I was a senior. And if you're in that range, you're old. So, yes, I am absolutely playing the age card with Rich Hill. I think if you can count on him to be out there, yes, he's going to put up ace numbers. But he's only getting older and he's had health issues in the past. So why am I wasting a pick on a guy that's going to sit on my DL? And the guy that I get to replace him in my rotation for the starts he misses isn't even going to come close to replicating Hill's value. So to me, it's just a waste of a pick that high.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I am a Rich Hill fan. I will say, the big issue is the blisters, especially the way that he's spinning that curveball and as frequently as he has. That obviously, impeded his seasons last year. But the numbers were phenomenal when he did pitch. We're talking about, a 10.5 K per nine. The walks were in check. 2.69, walk per 9 innings. Swing and strike rate was 10.6%, which is down a little bit from the previous season, but still good. He's kind of an anomaly because he's a pitcher that had a resurgence and he really almost reworked himself. Where he used to throw about 4 or 5 different pitches, he still does to a certain extent, but he predominantly throws 2 pitches. He throws his curveball as much as anybody in baseball. And the thing about him is, spin rate wise, it's a top 5 pitch. In terms of pitch values, other than Jose Fernandez, rest in peace, he had the best curveball in baseball. So now you can obviously say that he probably has the best curveball in baseball. The thing that's funky about Hill is he actually works up in the zone with a curveball, which is unusual. His sequencing is a little bit different. The pitch is just so nasty and everything sort of plays off of that. Hitters have a tough time making any contact with him. He was 17th in contact percentage. If you look at it by, pitchers that are 100 innings or more last year, 75.3% of the pitches that hitters are swinging at, that Hill's throwing, they make contact with, which is incredibly low. He's right within range with, Scherzer and some of those guys that are, top of the league. It's all just a few percentage points. So I do like Hill from what he gives you. But as you said, the big question is, how many starts is he going to give you? If you could tell me right now that Rich Hill is going to make 30 starts, I'll buy in all day at that price tag. I have him, around 118th overall, which I think you said is around the 10th round. He's a guy that'd be happy to grab, but the problem is he going to stay healthy? And the way he throws that curveball, the fact that I think it was probably, part of the issue with his blisters, there's some concerns there that I'm not necessarily sure. It's a risk reward pick. If you get 30 starts, 28 starts even out of Hill, I think you did well on draft day. If he's hurt all season again and he makes 15 to 20, you really paid a premium for him.
Yeah, so you're basically surmising that this is legitimate what he's done the last 2 years. remade himself. He figured it out. Maybe towards the tail end of his playing days, but he still figured
Yeah.
it out. As we've both alluded to, he's putting up ace numbers when he is healthy. But let's just say it's 25 starts. Let's just say it's 150 innings as your
Mm.
season. Are you still valuing him as a guy that you're going to take with one of your first 10 picks?
If it's, it depends on the format. If it's a redraft league where there's start limits, and let's say that, you have 180 starts throughout the year, that doesn't bother me so much because I'm going to be relying heavily on relievers to fill up my numbers anyway. So I'm okay with taking a chance on a guy like that when I know that those 25 starts are going to be really good. They're going to help my ratios. He's going to have the Ks there. He's not going to hurt me with my whip. If it's a league like a head-to-head league where you need to roll out starters every week, that's probably some place that I would proceed with caution with Hill. I just think it depends upon the format. If you're limited with starts, he's somebody I'll take a chance on. If it's a league where, you want to have as many starts as possible because you're going head to head and you're trying to get as many, 2-start pitchers, as many starts as possible, Hill's somebody that I probably discount a little bit, if that makes sense.
It absolutely makes sense to me. And if you do take a guy like Hill, do you know who the perfect complement to having him on your roster and in your rotation would be? That would be our third pitcher today, Chris Tillman.
Oh.
Does Chris Tillman make you feel proud as an owner? No, not necessarily. But to bet he's on or in a good majority of fantasy playoff teams' rotations. You win championships with the Chris Tillmans of the world when you have them as your fourth, fifth, or even beyond your sixth starter. Yet you're going to get starting pitcher 3 kind of production out of them. He logs innings, having thrown 758 over the last 4 straight seasons. His ERA is respectable, having remained under 4 over that same 4-year span, with the one exception being 2015 when he pitched to the tune of a 4.99 ERA. He's had no less than 10 wins each year in those 4 years, twice now tallying 16. His whip gets a little long, sometimes being on the high end of a 1-2, but with the number of innings he logs, he'll keep you competitive by compiling those Ks, as we talked about with Aaron Sanchez. Just by sheer number of innings, his pedestrian 7 to 8 K per 9 rate is gonna start to compile. He'll be 29 in the 2017 season, so he's young, still got plenty of juice in his arm. Yet, despite all these fantasy positives, he isn't even one of the first arms being taken off his own Baltimore Oriole team. He's currently the 79th starting pitcher off the board, 298th overall. He's going right at the end of the 24th round. This is a guy that will really help your rotation and just stabilize your rotation. Again, not something you're going to go and, start bragging about, posting on your Facebook account, I drafted Chris Tillman, but it's gonna be to your benefit as the season progresses. Would you disagree with anything I just said?
I would agree pretty much with everything you said. I mean, he's like Captain Blah, where you're not, like you said, you're not real excited to own Chris Tillman. But here's the thing: when you dig into the ADP data and where he goes, I mean, I have 292. I mean, he's going really late in drafts, and he could be pretty much the last pitcher you draft. And when you consider that this is the last guy you can grab in your rotation, where a lot of people are taking chances on guys that maybe not even have rotation spots, he pitches for a relatively good team that stays competitive. He's going to get wins. I don't know if the ERA is sustainable. I don't know if it'll always be under 4. He's going to have his blowups, but you kind of pick your spots with him. I wouldn't necessarily start him in Fenway, but you pick your spots where you start Tillman. The K numbers are going to be okay. And overall, I mean, he's just sort of a solid pitcher. The swing and strike rate was one thing that I saw that did go up over the course of the year. He went from a 7.1% guy to 8.7, which was a career high. So that's one of the nice things about Tillman. Also throws a lot of different pitches. So he's an interesting player, but he's not somebody that, I'm going to be beating down the door to grab. But if I can grab him at the end of my drafts and, in a head-to-head league, a spot where you sort of need to fill up some of those counting stats, I'd certainly take a chance on Tillman.
You mentioned his pitch selection. He's one of the things that helped him with that K number and that K rate is the cutter. He started throwing a cutter a lot more over the last couple of years. So, listen, I want as many Chris Tillmans as I can get in my rotation. It allows you to go up and fill out your lineup by being able to get valuable pitchers that will provide depth for you this late in the draft. It's also, kind of one of the examples that I point to, and that pitching is deep and you can wait on pitching. And if you want to believe in a guy like Rich Hill that Ralph is very high on, you back it up. You double down with a guy like Chris Tillman, and you should be able to cover your bases with that. Anyway,
smart plan.
That's going to wrap it up for this episode. The 3 pitchers that we wanted to discuss with you: Aaron Sanchez, Rich Hill, Chris Tillman. Those are all guys that you should feel fairly comfortable with for varying degrees of reasons. We'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe. Check out the player library. You can find all our players we've covered, isolated individually for your convenience. Give a thumbs up to the video, and we'll see you around. Thanks.
Bye, Mom.